Hi and welcome to Hedgehog Hollow. My name's Alexandra and today I'm here with the Crafters Workshop to show you 5 top tips for using a gel press. Maybe you're getting one for Christmas, maybe you have one sitting in the cupboard and you've wondered how to use it. I'm going to be using the Crafters Workshop acrylic paints and my favourite brayers to create some fun backgrounds and show you some background papers that you can also create at home. As always, I have lots of tips and techniques that I have learned to share with you, so let's get started. So this is my gel press. They sent this to me to have a trial with as part of my TCW design team pack. And I've been playing with it for a few months and I've learned a few different things I want to share with you. I'm still very much a beginner, so bear with me. I will share with you what I have learned if you haven't got one already. Maybe you're looking at getting one for Christmas. It'd be a great thing to get Christmas Day. Maybe a few paints and things you could get with it. And there's lots of different things. You could have hours of fun playing with it. Maybe even not cook the dinner. Maybe just play with your gel press instead. Square format I have in the 6x6 size. It comes in different sizes. You can also get mini tiles in hexagons and other fun shapes as well, which are great fun to play with too. So this is a gel plate. So in the, I believe previously, you used to be able to make them out of gelatin and people then used to keep them in the fridge, but you can now get this, which is a permanent gel plate. I'm working on a Tonic Essentials mat. This is a great size to work on. It's super easy to clean up as well. It sticks to my surface and hopefully it videos a little bit better as well than the craft mat that I often use. It has these acrylic pieces on either side. I've been advised to keep these and then whenever you put your gel press away you pop it on there. Now your gel press will stick to this Tonic mat really nicely. You still get all that jelly, you can see it's kind of wibbling about, but it also has a little bit of grip, so when you're doing your prints it's not going to move around on you. I also have all the different colours of the TCW paints here, so we'll experiment with a few different ones here. I'm going to start out with just making some background pieces. So I'm going to start with some lemon custard. Great lemon colour, and I'm just dabbing some in various places. Every print you do will be different, and I'm also going to be using some blue Jellybean. I'm going to use a little bit less of the blue than the yellow. I'm going to get some great greens in there and hopefully some tones in between as well. I'm using a speedball brayer here and I'm going to go this time on the diagonal. You can go either way. A little bit of paint will go a long way. The more you roll it over it, the more your colours will mix. So if you want to keep some of those yellows and blues in there, you can see I've got different patterns, primarily in the green because I'm going to be creating some nice landscapes with these another time. And I am now going to grab some mixed media paper. I have mine cut down to roughly card front size. Give it a good press all over. And then lift up like this. And you'll see you get some really great patterns. This shows me that I need a little bit more paint on there. It needs to be a little bit thicker. So I'm going to go back and add some more splodges of my yellow. And a little bit more of my Jellybean. Not too much of that. And then again, I'm going to take my brayer. And I've seen people do all sorts of things, banging like this. I've seen them do just smooth rollering. You can get all sorts of different textures in there as well. Again, I'm going to take a piece of my mixed media paper, press it down. And you can usually get a few prints off of one application. So you can see that I've got a much heavier application. We've got some lovely yellows in here, some blue pieces, and we have those greens as well. This is slightly larger than card front size, so when I cut it down, it'll be great down here. Or I could just go down here and I can fill that piece in as well. So when you're cleaning up your press, you want to use some deli paper. Now this is great because if you're a mixed media artist, you can also get rid of some of the paint that's on your brayer. So you could do a second application quite often as well. But when you put the deli paper down, you're going to get all these wonderful prints and things on there. And if you love doing the collage style mixed media, these are great pieces to keep. So let's just put this all over. And when I pick it up, you can see you get all these wonderful patterns in there, and you can then tear these up and use them in your collages as well. Now, clean up wise, the deli paper should really be enough to clean up your press. So I'm going to just grab these extra pieces here, and then we can move on to a new colour set. So I'm just going to go all over. The one thing I am going to do is I am going to just give my brayer a wash though. So my second way for working with your gel press is with stencils, and I have actually two different techniques we can do with stencils, and we're going to branch out a little bit as well. So the first one is to apply some base colour. I'm actually going to apply some black. So I'm going to put a fair amount of black on here, and I'm going to then just roll this across. And I'm kind of using a bouncing technique. If ever you use brayers with your ink pad, you go kind of forward, lift, and backwards and forwards just to get a nice smooth application. And I've chosen for this one a TCW stencil. This is Lacy Tiles even. And first of all, I'm going to pop it down like this. And then I'm going to grab some paper. I actually have another brayer here that I'm going to just help me use. Now the girls at who are on the TCW design team with me, they recommend the speedball brayers. Both of mine here that I already had were speedballs. So what you can do is give it a nice rub. And this one's quite intricate stencil, so I'm not sure how well this impression will come out, but we'll have a look. But what you should get is some of that impression through the stencil, and that's got a lovely distress feel to it. You can imagine using that with some, maybe some Tim Holtz stamps and things to give you a really fun effect. The other thing you can do once you've got to this stage is apply some more colour. So I'm actually going to apply some gold. Now to do that, I'm going to use some deli paper to the side because I want to load up my brayer. So I'm just going to put a little dab on here. Now some girls did manage to have success when I was watching videos doing it this way. I found this gave me more success, which was to load up my brayer first of all with some ink or paint, and then start going over your stencil. So I'm going to try this. I tried it once before and mixed success, but you can see here that gorgeous gold colour. And I'm going to pop my brayer to the side. I'm going to grab a clean piece of deli paper as well. I'm going to show you why in just a second. Because when I lift off my stencil, first of all, I have all of that gold is purely in the layers where the stencil was, so I should get the reverse. But what I can do is also pop my stencil onto my deli paper, grab another piece over the top, and I'll get two more prints from this as well to use in other things. So really stretching our supplies here. So you can see I'm just smoothing this out to the side, and I'm going to lift one off here. And so you've got it all with that gorgeous gold on it. Look how beautiful that is. All that shimmer and shine. And then I'm going to lift off my stencil and pop it down in just a second. You can see there all that lovely black and gold that we have also with those stencil pieces. I'm going to pass this stencil to Greg for cleaning. And it's very handy to have a husband on hand who can do
getting roped into this.
The cleaning up for you. And then the other thing we're going to do is some prints on here as well. So let's pop our piece of paper down, give it a nice gentle rub across like this. And you can see how you start picking up all those wonderful textures. I can just see so many things that we can do with our mixed media and the more distress tools. Some great background papers on here as well. I'm going to give this one a really good press. Let's see what we get. Each time is different. Something else that I really love about this, like when using alcohol inks and things. So you can see there, if I lift this up, you can see you've got all those wonderful lacy details in there. I can just see all the fun things you can do with that in there as well. So I'm just popping these at the front of my desk. And again, I'm going to do clean up with the deli paper. Even with black, it works perfectly as well. So again, you can see we've got some lovely pieces. If you're doing your mixed media collage, you can just imagine using that with all that wonderful shimmer. Now the paint doesn't look like it has much shimmer in the bottle, but you can see once you get it out the bottle how wonderful that looks. We'll work with the silver next so I can show you how much shimmer that has in there as well. I'm going to give a quick clean up and then I'm going to show you a couple more ideas. So now I have my Celtic Knot stencil from TCW. I've just placed it straight on my gel press. I'm going to show you some other ways to work with stencils. So first of all, we worked with getting the positive and negative of a stencil. And now we're going to do it in the reverse order to how we did it previously for our tip number 3. So I am now going to put some silver paint down. I'm going to show you how gorgeous this silver paint is. I've got my clean brayers, thanks to Greg. So we're just going to pop this down first of all. And now we're going to mottle those colours through the stencil. So to do that, I'm going to use some Candy Apple Red. I'm going to be very sparing. You can see here I'm giving it very light pressure. And I'm just kind of going in a circle like so. And then I'm going to take a second colour, a second brayer, which is clean. And I'm just adding some touches of red in there. So you can see how it's kind of marbled out that red. I am putting my brayers on a piece of deli paper that I have just here off to the side. I find that that works really well to keep my area a little bit clean. Again, I'm going to put down some deli paper so I can get the reverse image of that Celtic knot. I'm going to lift this up. You can see how gorgeous that's looking on there. And I'm going to place this down. I'm going to use a second piece, which I will reuse later anyway, just to help me press it down. Like this. Still some really pretty designs on there too. And then I'm going to lift up my stencil. And I'm going to give the stencil to Greg for cleaning. And you can see here all those wonderful tones. You've got that gorgeous silver shimmer in there and all of those red pieces as well. Of course, you could just use a larger piece of paper. You don't have to use the deli paper if you wanted to use it for a different background. But I'm going to start experimenting with a bit more mixed media. So I'm excited to have these pieces to use. And I'm going to pop that over to my side here. And then I'm going to pick this up. Now, again, you could use some deli paper if you want to go with the collage. I'm going to use 2 pieces of mixed media paper. And I'm going to try and capture half and half. I'm thinking gatefold card, something maybe a little bit different using these pieces later on. So I'm making the meat here in the middle and I'm giving them a really nice press all over. Go right to the edges and then we can pick them up. You can see there how you've got those wonderful pieces. If I put them together, we have our Celtic in there and all of that shimmer. If I lift this up, you can see all of that silver shimmer that's in there too. Of course, there'll be lots of photographs once these have all dried as well. Now we can clear this up. I've got that piece of deli paper we used earlier. I'm going to use that again to give us a wipe off. And that shows you how you can marble your paints inside of stencils. Of course, you could do it the opposite way around, how I just showed you as well. Lots of different options in there as well. Now I'm going to again have a quick clean down. It maybe takes me 2 or 3 minutes just to give this a good clean up. Of course, the aid of a husband always helps, but then I'm going to show you how to add some texture onto your gel plates as well. So our 5th and final tip is with adding texture, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to use some raspberry sorbet and I'm going to pop this down. And this time I'm going to do it similarly to how I did the last time. So I'm going to pop my base colour down like this, and I may even go back and add a little bit more, see how we go. Seems to be getting a good covering now. Now, do not fear, you may see all clean on camera, but if you follow us on Instagram at Hedgehog Hollow, you'll have seen our Instagram story of how my desk actually looks all around me with doing this project, and it is not a pretty sight. I mean, it's not super messy, particularly using the mat, but it is nowhere near as clean and neat and tidy as you guys are seeing on camera now. And I'm using that second brayer just to get some of those white dots in there. So you can see all that great texture we've got in there. Now you could do a print just like this, but first of all I'm going to add some texture. Now I experimented lots of different things to do this, and I've decided that my Teflon bone folder was the best for this particular one. So I'm going to draw some hearts in here, thinking of Valentine's Day, like so. Maybe some X's. We can make them into hearts. Now also you could put different textures of fabric. You could put some burlap down and get some great burlap prints and then pull it up and things like that as well. So to do that, you would just do exactly the same as I did with the bone folder. Pop that down and you can either take a print through it if it's a very sort of holey, porous fabric. Pop it down, lift it up, you'll get some great textures on your fabric, and then you could do a print afterwards with all of that texture in there too. Now for this, I'm going to give it a press all around. And you can see there when I lift it up, you've got all of those hearts in there. So some great pieces for backgrounds in Valentine's Day or anniversaries. And I will actually later in the month, in my second video, I'll be mounting all of these into cards. So stay tuned for that as well. They'll be coming out much closer to Christmas. But I wanted to show you how to get started with this first of all. I'm going to go back and I'm going to add some more of that paint that's on my brayer. I'm going to use as much of it as possible. And then I'm going to go back with my white one. You can see it's still adding some white, but much lighter in here. This time we can maybe do just one large heart. You can also put dies down on here and you can get some really great textures. Of course you can do the stencils as I showed you earlier. I'm just trying to do some nested, very rough nested hearts. I'm not a freehand drawer by any means. And then you can pick that up. You can see again we've got those nested hearts in there, and then we can use our deli paper. So don't forget these end prints, really some great things you can use on other projects as well, and we'll definitely be exploring that into 2018 into some more mixed media ideas. So today we've covered just making some fun backgrounds directly with paint. That was our first tip. The second one being these wonderful end prints that I'm doing again now. And then we looked at multiple ways to use stencils for tips 3 and 4. And finally, how to add texture using bone folders, fabric, dyes, all sorts of other things we can put on there. And we'll be exploring that more in future videos as well. So thanks for joining me for my first video with the gel press with my top 5 tips that I have learned so far. And I will see you again very soon for some more inspiration. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button or stamp it if you prefer. Again, we will be mounting these up into some projects later in the month. All your links for the gel press and these wonderful paints and the surface that I'm working on are all in the description below. Do give us a thumbs up if you learned something from this video. Happy stamping. Bye.